Good morning to you! Land Cruiser Midwest Migrant Mayhem. We're gonna do a Denver update today. Kudos to our buddies in Denver. Yeah, let me get the videos set up here. We got some rockin' music for you here. Definitely some rockin' music this morning. It's Saturday, April 4th. We're headed to Cinco de Mayo. Get ready, Denver. All right, we're almost ready here, folks. Almost ready. Hope you are ready. Listen to that guitar riff. We got the guitars a-wailing this morning. Shout out to my buddy Michael Sellers. He's a hard rocker. Hope you're having a good day, Michael. Keep cutting, buddy. Ow! Ow! I think we're going to get the glasses out for this one. My God. My God. It's a rave. That's smoking. Smoking, and it's over. It's over. I got the goofy glasses out and it decided to end. It decided to end. How does that happen? All right. I am DJ Wonder Chrissy. This is a Migrant Mayhem, and we are part of Land Cruiser Midwest, bringing you guys content left and right, all sorts of cool content, foodie, car shows, migrants, exploration. We were out yesterday doing some video about the commercial real estate collapse. We'll be bringing you a video on that. This place, we went to an old Walgreens Boots Alliance office complex in Deerfield. Like 5 buildings that are now empty. It's like a ghost town. Unbelievable. In the suburbs, Deerfield. Right on Lake Cook Road and 94. Crazy. We're going to show you how weird this is and how crazy. Like 1 million feet of like 5 different buildings, 4 or 5 stories each, probably like 250 square feet each. 1 million square foot just sitting there waiting to be sold or leased. So it's crazy. Things are getting crazy out there with real estate. But we're here today to talk about Denver. Yeah, talk about what's going on in Denver. I've been doing some research on Denver, and they're making budget cuts in Denver. They are making budget cuts, and they kind of poo-poo this and say, oh, it's just a little budget cut. Don't worry about it. It's not going to impact services. And I got a feeling that, okay, maybe small budget cuts today, but is this the end? Which they don't discuss that. So think about that. Put that around your noodle just a little bit. So if they're cutting 2 to 3% today, how about when they need more money? What's going to happen? This is happening all across the nation. New York City has cut. Chicago hasn't cut yet, which kind of makes me a little queasy because I don't know where they're getting the money. Chicago's the worst financially fiscal company or city in the state of Illinois. There's an article out there about their pensions. They're the worst city for pensions. And you'd never think it by the way that Brandon Johnson talks and our governor. So just something to think about. So let's get back here to Denver and let's listen to what they're doing with their budgets to accommodate the migrants, the illegals, the border buddies.
Council meeting to talk about the nearly $90 million going towards a...
Wow, 90 million. That's some coin. Pretty coinage there. Yeah.
program budget.
Well, we know a large chunk of money is coming from budget cuts. Fox 31's Courtney Fromm on it this morning, and we're talking about tens of millions of dollars here on the chopping block.
Yep, good morning to you both. And I think that's exactly why there's so much conversation about these budget cuts, because people directly here in Denver, they want to know how they're going to be impacted when it comes to nearly $42 million in budget cuts, specifically going to the border crisis or the migrant situation that we're seeing here in Denver. Now, DPD having an anticipated budget cut of $8.4 million. The Department of Transportation also roughly around $5 million in budget cuts. The Denver Sheriff's Office expected to have a little over $3.8 million, and Denver Fire also with roughly about $2.4 million. Now, so far the city has helped over 41,000 migrants since December of 2022 when they were first bussed into here into Denver. Now, Mayor Mike Johnson has been very vocal about this. He says it's not going to be an impact that people will see directly.
No impact, but we're cutting millions and millions of dollars across the board. But there's no impact. Do you believe that? I don't think I believe that. No, not believing that. Not believing that. And they got a mayor by the name of Johnson, too. Everyone's got a mayor by the name of Johnson. Give that a thought.
Directly, but we already know the city's already spent about $68 million to try and help.
About a 2% cut to these departments, which is minimal. And critically, there is no impact on public-facing public safety. There's no reduction in officers. There's no reduction in our cadet classes and in our training academies. We will actually make a historic expansion of the number of officers we put on the streets this year. We're going to put 170 new officers onto the streets this year. I told you we wouldn't reduce those classes, and we're not. So a lot of these are vacancy savings. They're things like delaying the buying of new furniture for the police department. Those are not things that were crises in this moment, but there will be no impact on public-facing public safety.
Yeah, we do know that these two bills, they actually had their first viewing in front of a committee of City Council, just a small portion of them. They are going to have the second viewing today here at the City and County building around 3:30 with the entire City Council. But for now, live in Denver, Courtney from Fox 31.
No doubt a lot to follow as we talk about a major impact citywide. Thank you, Courtney.
So there you go. There's a little ditty about the budget in Denver on the migrants. And we got, let me get this one queued up here. Yesterday we talked about how New York City was undergoing a huge effort to push migrants to other towns. They're giving away free airline tickets to anywhere in the United States if you're a migrant and you want to leave New York City behind. Here's how inhospitable Denver has gotten for new migrants. So they want to get. I know Denver was giving away free tickets this winter, early in the year, and they're trying to wind down some of their generosity in Denver. And here's an example of that as they interview a newcomer, a border buddy, a Biden buddy, an illegal alien that had just arrived in Denver, and what kind of problems he's having trying to find help.
Juan and Anissa arrived to Denver Wednesday night and have been traveling from Venezuela since early December to get here. A friend we knew from the jungle came here, Juan says. He got here first and got an appointment quickly to get...
He hasn't taken that English language course just yet, folks.
Settled. Denver is their first choice, so they went to the city's human services offices for help. We knocked on the door, Juan says, and they came out and said they could not help us at all. and that all they could do was give us a free trip to another city. Other migrants gave Juan and Adisa contact information for V. Reeves, a known advocate for migrants settling in the city. Give V a call, Juan says he was told. At the very least, they can help you with something, and V has helped, and we are very grateful. V intervened in the couple's efforts to get help from the city.
If I hadn't, had certain connections and been able to call and follow up and cause a fuss, they would have been turned away, and they would have been left back out on the streets with this child, again, of just under 2 years old.
Juan and Adisa traveled across the continent with Juan's cousin, his wife, and their toddler. The families were separated when the city eventually gave them shelter. Juan and Adisa to a hotel and his cousin's family to a city facility. This separation, Juan says, this is the first time we've been separated in 5 months that we've been traveling, and I feel terrible. For its part, the city says it is offering trips as an option for new migrants arriving in town. Signage at DHS tells migrants other cities might have more resources for them and that Denver would pay their way there.
Okay, so now we got one more video here, and Denver's actually doing something smart here.
Communities across Colorado looking for ways.
Oh, we'll get rid of that. Where did my video go? We gotta go back one more. Let me get this set up here, folks, for you. They're sending an employee to El Paso to meet with migrants and to tell them what they're in for before they come to Texas or come to Denver. Kind of a good idea, I guess. They're trying to shut off the flow here to Denver, which is going to long term going to save them some money. So let's listen to this video about Denver sending a city employee to El Paso to meet with the migrants.
The immigration crisis continues in Denver. The city is sending one of its employees to a community on the southern border for an extended stay.
That employee will spend the next several weeks in El Paso, encouraging immigrants to think again before hopping on a bus to the Mile High City. Denver 7's Brandon Richard has more on Denver's newest effort to try to manage the crisis.
Denver's new immigration strategy has completely shifted from helping all who come here to managing expectations for those who do land here.
We want people to know what the new plan is. We don't want them to think that it is the old plan.
That's why the city is now gearing up to send a city employee to the Texas-Mexico border in the next few days.
We know that often things are miscommunicated to folks before they ever arrive in Denver. We also know there's a large number of people who arrive in Denver knowing nothing about Denver, having never intended to come to Denver.
The Public Information Officer for Denver Human Services, Victoria Aguilar, will spend about a month in El Paso. She wasn't available for an interview Thursday, but her colleague, John Ewing, says she'll meet with immigrants as well as nonprofit leaders in Texas.
What we want to do is go down there, have a conversation with folks on the ground in El Paso and say, what are people being told? What are they hearing before they even arrive in this country? And see where the disconnect lies.
Of course, the city is still running shelters like the Denver Community Church here for new immigrants, but the resources available to them today are much different than they were just a few weeks ago. That's why the city says it's important to have that employee there in El Paso to communicate the change. Even though immigrants have put a strain on the city's budget, Ewing says Aguilar's visit to El Paso is not necessarily meant to discourage immigrants from coming to Denver, but they don't want to encourage them either.
We don't want to encourage people to come here and think that they're getting 6 weeks of travel or 6 weeks of stay. That's for sure. But no, it is not a means of discouraging people.
Aguilar will leave for El Paso this weekend and will certainly follow up. In Denver, Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
So there you go. Denver trying to set expectation with the migrants as summer approaches. If you were in Denver and you were able to survive the winter, I give you a kudos. Like I said, there seems to be a media blackout here in Chicago. I've been searching for some migrant news and not finding any. They're just kind of mum is the word. So we got some other protests going on here in Chicago as Chicago gets ready for the DNC come August. Middle of August, we got the DNC. There's going to be some protesting going on at that time too in Chicago. So protesting is a new way of having fun in Chicago, at least right now. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. here today. Let's see if where are we at? We're at 14 minutes. I'll give you a taste. Let's see if I can find the let's see here. Let's do a little bit of taste of Chicago pensions. This is what Chicago's out spending millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on the migrants, and in the meantime, we've gotten been anointed as the worst pension fund in the United States, the worst city with the pension fund, and it's only getting worse as time goes on. So let's take a dip into this, and lots of details here, to really cement how bad things are financially in Chicago, but none of the politicians will admit it. That's the key. No one admits how bad things are, and they are bad.
Migrant crisis that's costing the city hundreds of millions of dollars, and what's scary is we don't even know how much money they're actually spending. Could be even higher than that. So right now Chicago is facing a big problem. Can government employees in Chicago retire because their pension program is absolutely cooked right now? So check this out. Worst American city for pensions. They are now confronting a humongous...
Now this guy's just giving you straight facts, so he's pretty on level and just presenting the facts. So here we go.
It's $35 billion crisis. Now the current mayor, Brandon Johnson, who's a big advocate for the migrant crisis, is trying to find a sustainable way for the pension funding. He is also against high...
And we're also they're gonna bring soon here. He's gonna bring in the commercial real estate aspect of this. Kind of ties into my little trip yesterday.
Property taxes, which, by the way, they can't even do that, considering so many Chicago property deals are now under the gutter. Chicago is down to its last few options because so many of its biggest corporations are leaving. Who in the world is Chicago to tax? Now, you know what's the crazy thing about Chicago that I don't really get is they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on the migrant crisis, and then they talk about how they can't fix the funding for the pensions. It's a really easy scenario. Just make Chicago a low-crime, clean city that has pro-business laws. And a lot of companies, let me tell you, will start flooding into Chicago. But for some reason, a lot of these super left cities like San Francisco, Chicago, New York City have very draconian laws, very bad laws for business owners. Almost feels like it's super anti.
We've just had a few companies leave: Boeing, Tyson, Citadel, Guggenheim. We've had just a few companies leave our fair city of Chicago.
Business. It also feels like they want to tax you hard, but at the same time, be very anti-business. So right now, Chicago has high crime. They have food deserts everywhere. Some of the biggest companies like Guggenheim and Citadel have already left for Miami. Florida is taking all of Chicago's business. Why? Because Florida's pro-business, warm weather, low crime. They're very, very pro-entrepreneur down there. But Chicago's like, nope, let's just spend another $100 million on the migrant crisis. So no wonder right now, Chicago is the worst city for pensions. And I'm not even sure these guys could even retire. Imagine you work for decades and it's time for retirement just to find out that the city has a massive pension deficit. This is turning off a lot of government employees, and people are frankly kind of scared. And people are saying, oh, what about the property sales, property tax, property transfers? Because these usually make up almost half of most major cities' revenue. So Chicago area commercial property sales are down 44% in 2023 and even lower in 2024. And the bad deal is some of these buildings are selling for a -50 to even -93% off. This is how bad it's getting for Chicago. And these property prices are dropping like a rock. They're selling these condos, these commercial buildings for literally pennies on the dollar. The property taxes, hey, if you sell your building for that cheap, the property taxes will be extremely low as well. And a lot of these companies are leaving. Chicago has some of the highest vacancies in the world. And by the way, the construction cranes above Chicago are disappearing as major construction firms are leaving Chicago for better places like Texas and Florida. Now you got some students out there floating out ideas.
So there you go. There is some of the facts behind why Chicago is financially cooked. They are cooked for sure. So it's not looking good for Chicago. I think we're going to end it there for today. We're almost at 20 minutes. I hope we gave you a good update on the migrants. We exposed you to the pension issue that's only getting bigger, faster, and it's all linked to commercial real estate and the migrant crisis. It's a mess here in Chicago, and I'm here to tell you that's the case. DJ Wonder Chrissy for Migrant Mayhem, and we're all part of Land Cruiser Midwest. Check out our videos. We got a little bit of everything. Over and out. Have a good weekend. DJ Wonder, and happy Cinco de Mayo tomorrow. Yeah, happy Cinco de Mayo. Adios.